Welcome to another episode of CrafterCast, where we focus each episode on a specific and detailed topic related to modern content management. Today, we're going to talk about Headless Plus CMS. What is a Headless Plus CMS and how is it different from a Headless Only CMS? My name is Mike Fertel, and with me today here is Russ Danner. So Russ, I'm thinking we start off this topic by first talking about what are the key attributes of a Headless Only CMS. What do you think?
Yeah, so that's a perfect place to start. What makes a headless CMS is that the front end client is completely separate or decoupled from the CMS. And the way that we do that is we serve content in a presentationless format to the front end with an API. And that means that we can serve any number of clients, any front end technology, any framework. And that's the power of a headless CMS.
Right. And that takes content management systems from managing just pages on a website to managing content for not just modern day websites, but any type of digital experience, right? Mobile apps, augmented reality experiences, OTT video, e-commerce front ends, IoT devices, Alexa devices. So it really expands the number of use cases and the utility of a content management system.
Right. So, it's all about being API first, right? And a lot of headless CMSs are API first. That's the whole point. But they're API first on the delivery side only. In a headless plus context, a headless plus CMS, I would say, also includes APIs and being API first on the authoring side, because there's so much that you can do with automation if you've got APIs for creating content, for starting publishing, for starting DevOps style workflows, or what we would call Dev Content Ops style workflows. So API first, both on authoring and delivery, are important.
Yeah. So let's drill into more of the plus part, because we talk about Crafter as a headless plus CMS. It's a headless platform, but it incorporates several additional capabilities that make it suitable for mid to large enterprises and their headless use cases, right? So you talk about Crafter as a decoupled architecture, authoring, decoupled from delivery. Both of those platforms are API first and headless. So the content authoring experience can be extended and easily customized for different roles and different use cases on the authoring side of things. And on the delivery side, where you're delivering content to the end users across those different digital channels, right? Websites, intranets, portals, mobile apps, etc. You've got an API based platform to build those digital experience applications on top of that. So what other plus capabilities besides having that API first approach for both authoring and delivery? I think let's talk about on the authoring side, right? The typical headless only CMSs really have limited content authoring capabilities, right? They can go back to CMSs of 20 years ago, right? Headless Plus addresses one part of that, addresses the content authoring needs, right, Russ?
That's a huge deal. And if you think about it, like you said, 20 years ago, content entry was super simple. It was very form-based. There was not a lot of visual and context editing. And then the industry spent a long time, between, let's say, 1997 and 2000, I would go all the way up to 2018, really building great content editing features and going further. I mean, the whole DXP kind of push. And headless basically has kind of taken things back to that initial content entry forms. But the problem is authors really like those tools, right? That's what makes a CMS, they're the original constituent of the CMS. That's why we built CMS, to make it easy for non-technical people to create digital experiences. At that time, it was primarily web pages. Now it's all kinds of channels. And so I think a Headless Plus CMS has to have really great authoring tools for these new types of front-end frameworks. I mean, we're talking about like React, Flutter, Angular, Vue, as well as, some more traditional things like Bootstrap and so on, but also make it easy to create really rich authoring experiences for things like augmented reality,
Right.
virtual reality, and digital assistants, for example. Any kind of experience, I think your authoring tools need to make it really easy to create those kinds of experiences for your authors. So that's where you were talking about it being important to be able to kind of have the tools shift for the type of digital experience you have. And a lot of headless, almost all headless CMSs just really punted on that topic and really cater only to the developers. And as a result, the authors are pretty underserved with current headless CMSs. And we think Headless Plus should bring all those features back, and not just the web features that people are used to, but bring it back in a multi-channel way that really matches the flexibility of multi-channel on the delivery side, but on the authoring side now.
Yeah, and give the authors the tools they need, regardless of whatever front-end technology that application is built with, right? So the benefits of Headless CMS from a developer perspective, I can use any front-end technology that is best suited for the problem at hand. Now, if you can give the content authors the same type of tools, regardless of the technology, right? Whether it's Angular or React or an HTML5 site, the authors don't care what that technology is. They've got the same authoring experience, the same level of productivity. That's a huge win.
Exactly right.
So now what about on the content delivery side and the developer side of it? Headless gives the developers APIs to build their front-end apps on, mostly client-side applications, right? So what are some of the plus capabilities from a developer perspective, specifically on the server side?
Let's just start right back at the core, which is the API itself. So a lot of headless CMSs, you create a content type and they automatically give you a REST response of some kind. It has a shape to it and it's fixed. And that's because that's easy, right? You create your content type and boom, you got your API. And that's a key capability. And every headless and Headless Plus CMS should be able to do that. But the more sophisticated use cases, what we see in real large scale and medium-sized enterprises is that we've got to integrate with things. We might be replacing the existing system. Not everything can just read whatever you give it. Sometimes you've got to be able to adapt to the client itself. So we think it's important for a Headless Plus CMS to give control over the shape of the APIs. And sometimes that means something simple like what's in the response itself, but something like GraphQL, which gives some degrees of that basic control all the way to full control, right? You should be able to completely create the entire shape of your API, what the response looks like, and control that from your delivery tier.
Right.
And that kind of leads into another thing as well, which is the ability to put server-side logic inside those APIs and maybe even integrate with other systems, because not all enterprises are so mature that they've got all these small composable services and an orchestration layer to compose them and so on. Sometimes the CMS is just the best place to put that for an organization at its given level of maturity. So we would say that if we want to have that capability of doing some server-side logic, whether that's to support basic personalization, basic integration, or maybe we because we're serving a lot of the experience, we're basically the orchestration layer for experience. So that ability to do some amount of server-side logic is also important.
Right. And does that include server-side rendering of the applications? And how do you contrast that with client-side rendering and the pros and cons of each of those approaches?
It kind of includes it. I mean, I think that's actually like a separate thing. I think Headless Plus CMSs recognize that all of these new frameworks, again, let's React, Angular, Vue, and so on, they're really powerful. Developers love using them, but we've got to deal with the reality of what we're doing. We're building websites. We've got SEO, for example, as a concern. We have page load speed as a major concern when in e-commerce and things like that. We've got to nail that. So server-side rendering is an important capability. So you can still use that framework, but we want to control the response that, let's say, the search engine is getting. So if you can't do server-side rendering, or even sometimes for smaller sites, static site generation, I think that's a miss. A Headless Plus CMS can do that.
Yeah. Great. Well, I think that really captures the key attributes of Headless Plus. So let's put a wrap on this CrafterCast. For the audience, if you found this useful, please hit the like button and share it with your friends and colleagues. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future episodes. Let us know in the comments below what you think and any topics you'd like us to cover. Thanks and have a great day.